Back to our top story. As tensions across the Middle East ignite now, senators back home are scrambling to confirm a U.S. ambassador to Israel, a post that has remained vacant since the beginning of President Biden's term. Biden is now facing intense criticism from Republicans. Former Secretary of the Treasury Jack Lew facing off yesterday against critics of the Iran nuclear deal.
How are we supposed to see all of that and then somehow confirm you to this very important post when you've deliberately, in my view, misled me, misled Senator Kirk, misled the Congress on what was happening behind the scenes with regards to all of this?
Do you believe the Jewish quarter and the Western Wall are illegally occupied territory?
Senator, I do not believe that it is illegally occupied territory.
Then why did you support a UN resolution saying that it is?
He really was an ATM to the Iranian Ayatollah.
Florida Senator Marco Rubio serves on the Foreign Relations Committee. He joins me now. Senator, thanks for being with us. So you accused Jack Lew yesterday of lying to or misleading you and your colleagues over the core tenets of the Iran nuclear deal. I'm curious if there is a potential candidate from Biden world who worked on the nuclear deal at all that you might be able to get behind. And I ask because if the bar is no one who worked on this deal, it's going to be very slim pickings.
Well, and there are plenty of people who worked on the Iran deal, or at least gave it the support, that are out there serving now in different capacities. So I don't think that's the standard anyone's talking about. But I do think in this particular case, you have somebody who was the Secretary of the Treasury. He testifies before Congress and says, we are never going to help Iran get access to our banks. Then we now know he did that. He precisely did that through a special license that was not published because it doesn't need to be, but it was kept secret, and it got out in the press. So we asked him, are you doing anything to help Iran circumvent the sanctions, which they were. They were pressuring at least two banks, we now know, to help Iran turn dollar accounts in an Omani bank into euros. And he denied not once but twice in responses to my letters in 2015, 2016 that they were doing it. And now it turns out that that was not the case. So they deliberately misled us. So you add to that all these other things that I don't get a chance to get to because we only get 5 minutes of questions. But for another example of some of the things that happened, while they were there is his support of that resolution at the UN that basically says all of East Jerusalem is illegally occupied by the Israelis. The list goes on about things that they've done. They obviously misled us about the deal. They're like, he went out and gave a speech saying these were going to be the toughest inspections ever. But he knew that the deal would not allow us to inspect military facilities. Well, where do we think they would build nuclear weapons? Probably in a military facility. So he misled Congress repeatedly, and now this guy wants to be an ambassador, and he's anti-Netanyahu. I mean, he has taken shots at Netanyahu in the past. So this is probably the wrong time to send someone like this there. Look, the president's entitled to their ambassadors, and they're all not going to be people we like or people we would appoint. But it can't be someone that actually undermines, especially in this moment, our relationship with Israel because of their past.
Senator, yesterday, as you well know, the president went to Israel. His primary takeaway, deliverable to the American people upon his return, was the announcement that U.S. intelligence has definitively shown Israel was not behind the attack at the Gaza hospital. Take a listen to, though, Congressman Rashida Tlaib. This follows a pattern of some pro-Palestinians in the House refuting or refusing to accept the president's claims. Take a listen.
It's just continue to watch people think it's okay to bomb a hospital with children. You know what's so hard sometimes is watching those videos and the people telling the kids don't cry. President Biden, not all America's with you on this.
Now, publicly anyway, Tlaib has not put forward, sir, any evidence to support her claims that Israel is behind the bombing on the hospital, contradicting the president and the U.S. intel community. Have you seen or heard anything behind the scenes on Capitol Hill that indicates she has something to back up her claim?
Well, we've seen evidence that she's lying and that she doesn't know what she's talking about and that she's just parroting a Hamas line. I think three things are important. We need to stop referring to the Hamas Ministry of Health. I'm sorry, to the Gaza Ministry of Health. It is the Hamas Ministry of Health. Number two, both Senator Warner, a Democrat, and I, he's the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, I'm the vice chairman, we put out a statement together. We both reviewed the intelligence available, not just Israeli intelligence, U.S. intelligence and others, And we are convinced that this was not an Israeli strike. There's multiple pieces of evidence that point to the fact, including video evidence, that this was a rocket that malfunctioned and landed on this hospital. So, look, at the end of the day, she's obviously aligned with not just the Palestinian cause, but in essence has looked for ways in the past to justify violence against Jews in Israel. I think the danger here is that these aren't just annoying words. They are leading to action. We see unrest in Amman. We see unrest in Lebanon. We see growing unrest in the West Bank. We see it developing all over the world. And so when you go out and have people parroting this line that Israel is targeting hospitals, it is going to lead to ancillary violence in all these other places that actually, in many cases, begin to threaten the governments of countries that are critical to stability in the Middle East, like Jordan, like Lebanon, potentially like Egypt.